So the Amazon Kindle is an absolutely incredible product that I've been using every day since 2008, and it's one of the very few pieces of tech that I can say has genuinely changed my life, because thanks to my Kindle, I've read literally hundreds of books, more than I would have read without a Kindle. And so when Amazon announced their new Kindle Scribe, which is a Kindle that you can take notes on, I was over the moon, because this is exactly the sort of product that I thought I needed in my life. And so in this episode of Tech Club, which is the ongoing series where we review apps and tech and other products that have the potential to help us be more productive and add value to our lives, we're going to be doing a bit of a review of the Amazon Kindle Scribe and seeing whether it lives up to the hype. And as always with these tech videos, I like to give you an upfront conclusion so that you don't necessarily have to waste your time. And the upfront conclusion is that no, unfortunately, it does not live up to the hype. And in fact, the only real people I'd recommend the Kindle Scribe to are A, people who just love Kindles and also have loads of money to burn, or secondly, that tiny subset of people that really enjoys reading and taking notes at a desk with a pen, and specifically wants an e-ink device to do it rather than something more full-featured like an iPad. Now, if that's all that you were here for, then do please drop a like on the video on the way out and do something better with your time. But in the rest of this video, I'm going to be reviewing this device properly, and so you can see where this conclusion comes from, and see whether you agree or disagree with my assessment, and see if maybe you want to spend money on a Kindle Scribe. Now, the unboxing and setup experience was actually pretty nice. In the box, you get a Kindle Scribe, and you also get this nice little stylus that does not require any batteries to operate. The stylus feels pretty good. It's slightly lighter than an Apple Pencil, and I went for the premium stylus, which has a little eraser at the top. And I also decided to buy one of these other Amazon official first-party Kindle Scribe covers, which is also quite nice and really adds a premium feel to the whole product. And it even has one of these like pen loops that you can shove the pen in on the side if you want for kind of easy keeping. But to be honest, nothing more to say about the unboxing experience. But the setup experience was one of the best setup experiences of any device I've ever used, because I use a Kindle extensively, and so I've got the Kindle app on my iPhone. And so I set up the Kindle Scribe using the Kindle app on my iPhone. It was super quick. It connected everything seamlessly. It automatically connected to my Kindle account, automatically connected to the Wi-Fi networks I've got saved on my Amazon account. And the only other products that I've seen come close to this level of seamlessness is Apple products, where it's very easy to switch from one iPhone to another because of all of the kind of seamless integration. Now, in terms of design, it's basically a big version of a Kindle. I have here the Kindle Paperwhite, which for the record is the Kindle that I still recommend for the vast majority of people. And you can see that compared to the Kindle Paperwhite, the Kindle Scribe is absolutely huge. But instead of having the bezel with the Kindle logo at the bottom, it has more of a bezel on the side. And so you can kind of hold it like this, or you can turn it around if you're left-handed and hold it like that. And honestly, it just sort of feels like I'm holding any kind of thin e-ink or non-e-ink tablet, like an iPad or like a Remarkable tablet or any of these other things that you might be familiar with. We have USB charging on the side along with a power button. And really that's it when it comes to the design, other than the fact that the stylus magnetically attaches just like the iPad does. If you're going to be getting one of these, you're probably going to pick it up with the case. Honestly, these cases are quite nice. And so the way it works is that the Kindle magnetically attaches to the case. And then the only other funky thing that the case does is that it sort of does this kind of mode of kind of being propped up. This is actually the configuration I find myself actually using the Kindle Scribe in. When I'm taking notes on my desk, I've got it in this kind of 20-30 degree angle. And generally it's quite a nice angle to read and to take notes from. All right, let's move on to the reading experience because, well, it's a Kindle. And even though it's meant to be written on, primarily people are probably going to be using this for reading. And the reading experience is just as good, if not slightly better than the reading experience on the other Kindles like the Kindle Paperwhite or the Kindle Oasis. It's just that you have a bigger screen. The screen is, I think, around 300 pixels per inch, so it's really sharp. It's an e-ink screen, so it doesn't strain your eyes. If you haven't used a Kindle or other e-ink readers, then you might not be familiar with how this looks, but it genuinely is really nice. There's always people that say, oh, I prefer reading on paper, I don't want to read on a screen, but then you give them a Kindle and they're like, oh, I get it. It doesn't actually look like a screen. But one of my favorite things about this, which I actually prefer to the normal Kindle, is the ease of flipping through pages. This makes books very, very skimmable. Whereas if I compare that to my Kindle Paperwhite Signature Edition, the page turning on this is just slightly slower, and that makes it harder to kind of flick through books and skim read stuff. Other than that, there's really not much more to say about the reading process. You can highlight things with your finger, just like you can do on a normal Kindle. And so if you're primarily using the Kindle Scribe for reading, the main thing you want to ask yourself is, do you want to read on such a big device? The amazing thing about the Kindle Paperwhite is you can hold it in one hand. I can lie in bed and I can read this. I can literally have it in my hand while I'm shoved on a tube in the London Underground, and I can read this. I can read on my Kindle wherever I am, basically anywhere in the world. Whereas to hold on to something like this with one hand, it doesn't quite work. You kind of need two hands. If you hold it with one hand, you can't really kind of reach forward and like turn the page with your thumb without doing a lot of contortion and kind of getting arthritis in your thumb joint. So it's not really designed to be a one-handed reading experience. In fact, I can't even imagine someone using two hands to read this because it's just a bit much. It's just so much easier and less annoying reading a book on a normal Kindle. By the way, if you're enjoying this video so far, I would love it if you can give it a thumbs up. It really helps us in the YouTube algorithm. them. But I suspect most people are not after the Kindle Scribe for the fantastic reading experience, because you get that from any Kindle. I suspect you're probably interested in the Kindle Scribe like I was because of the writing experience. So there's two cool things about the writing experience. Number one, you can take notes in books. And secondly, you've got a notebooks feature. So let's start with the notebooks feature. Basically, it's the same as a normal Kindle, except there is a notebook tab over here. And what you can do is you can create a new notebook. You can give your notebook a name, and then you can choose from multiple different page layouts. I prefer a dot grid book myself, so that's the one I'm going to create over here. And now honestly, you get a pretty solid writing experience. And genuinely, it's not bad at all. It's not quite as nice as the iPad Pro with the paper-like screen protector and the Apple Pencil, but that's about 3 times the price of the Kindle Scribe and the stylus. And I would say it's actually nicer than the experience of writing on an iPad or an iPad Air, very, very slightly, because the iPad and the iPad Air don't yet have the 120 Hz ProMotion display refresh rate. And so while it doesn't quite feel like actually writing on pen and paper, it comes really, really close to the feeling of writing on pen and paper. And actually for the last week or so, I've actually been finding myself taking a lot of notes on the Kindle Scribe and genuinely enjoying the process of taking notes here. You can see I even jotted out my Kindle Scribe review with like spider diagrams and stuff because it was kind of cool. And because I paid a few extra dollars for the fancy pen, it does have an eraser on it, and so I can erase stuff. Yay, isn't that fun? Within here, we've got multiple different settings. You can choose fine through to heavy for the pen. I personally prefer the medium setting, and it's slightly pressure sensitive. So if you really want, you can like tap a little bit harder to get a little bit more of a thicker stroke. And beyond that, there's not a lot to say about the writing experience. It's pretty basic, but it's pretty functional, and genuinely it's quite nice to use. One of the issues with a lot of these notebooks, and one of the reasons why I don't like physical notebooks as much, even though I do use them quite a lot, is that you then have to do something with the notes to get it into a piece of software. And the Kindle Scribe does not yet have any integrations with Google Drive or Dropbox or Evernote or APIs or Notion or anything like that. Instead, the only way to access your notes really is by hitting the button and emailing them to yourself. And if you do email it to yourself, then it's pretty good. It lets you download a PDF, and then you can screenshot that PDF and put it into whatever notes app you want, if that's the kind of thing you're into. So that's a notebooks feature, but even that is not the true selling point of the Kindle Scribe. The true selling point is the ability to take notes while you're reading. Now, initially when I bought this, I was kind of expecting to be able to take notes in the margin. It's one of the things people like about normal books. You read the book, you grab a pen or pencil, and you take notes in the margin, and that's kind of cute. Unfortunately, that's not how you do it with a Kindle Scribe. Instead, you have to create a highlight or create a sticky note, and then you can write within that. And now I've got the option of writing a handwritten note or a text note. If I hit text note, then I've got the option of typing on the keyboard. Slightly nicer experience than typing on the keyboard of the Kindle Paperwhite, but it's still a pretty crap keyboard experience. But the real pièce de résistance of the Kindle Scribe is the ability to take a handwritten note. So where did that note appear? Well, if I hit on the highlight and then hit note, then I can see the note that I've written. And if I view my notebook, which normally has just my highlights, I can also see that it's got my handwritten notes in it, which is kind of nice. Now, this is kind of handy if, like me, you revisit a lot of your highlights from your books, because you can see your handwritten notes alongside your highlights. And so in a way, it gives you context on why you took a note in the first place. But the other way of taking notes is by adding a sticky note. So I'm a fan of sticky notes. I have lots of them on my desk at all times. And so on Kindle, you can do the same thing. So let's say I hit the sticky note button. I now tap in a random place, and now I can take a note at that point. But beyond a pen and a highlighter with a few different thickness settings, there's not much more about the writing experience on this. Now, this is kind of hard to see, but I'm going to zoom in with my phone a little bit. Even worse, they failed to take into consideration the consequences. So I can tap on the sticky note, and then it will appear at the bottom of my Kindle. But also if I go into my notebook, then that's where my random sticky note is going to appear as well. But unfortunately, a really annoying thing here is that if I open up the Kindle app on my Mac, which again, I use quite a lot for research and writing and note-taking and that kind of thing, and if I look on the notebook tab, which is here on the side, we can see here that my highlight appears, and the text note I can type up this shitty keyboard appears as well over here. But unfortunately, the handwritten note does not appear. And so to me, as someone who does a lot of reading of textbooks and papers and PDFs and stuff, the fact that my handwritten notes on the Kindle Scribe are not in fact appearing on my computer, and the only way to get at them is to either look at them on the notebook thingy on the Kindle itself, or to try and find a way to email them to myself so I can access them. It just, like, the ecosystems of the Kindle Scribe and the desktop don't yet work together. I suspect this is just a software thing. I suspect they're gonna be able to fix this at some point, but it's kind of annoying, and it's one of the things that would stop me from recommending this wholeheartedly to other people who are into research and reading and writing. Now, there's a few extra features that we might want to talk about. It's got a backlight. It's got like 25 different settings between warm and cold. I've got it on automatic schedule so that when it's sunset, like it is now, it will automatically go to warm light, and when it's sunrise, it goes to daylight. You can adjust the brightness if you want, or you can turn it to auto brightness. And like everything these days, it's got dark mode as well. So if for whatever reason you want a big ass device to read with you in bed, at least it's not going to strain your eyes too much. But that is really everything you need to know about the Kindle Scribe. Oh, and by the way, if you're enjoying this video, I'd love it if you could consider subscribing to the channel. If you're new here, then I occasionally do these tech reviews focused on productivity and organization and life improvement and stuff. So if that's up your street, then do please consider hitting the subscribe button. So is there anyone that I would recommend the Kindle Scribe to? Well, it's just kind of and not really. An iPad is just better because an iPad just does way more things. And given that you can buy a basic iPad for literally the same price that you can buy a Kindle Scribe at, it's really hard to recommend the Kindle Scribe over something like an iPad. But let's say you don't want a device like an iPad that does everything. Let's say you specifically want an e-ink tablet to be able to read and write and take notes on. Is the Kindle Scribe worth getting in that sense? Well, honestly, I don't know. You could instead get the Remarkable 2, which I have had and have used, but found to be inferior to an iPad anyway, so I just ended up going back to the iPad. There are a few other e-ink devices on the market, which I'll be honest, I haven't tested myself, but there's tons of reviews on YouTube for other people comparing the Kindle Scribe with the Books and with the Kobo and these other kind of devices. To me, the main reason I got the Kindle Scribe and really wanted to test it out is because I literally have hundreds of books on my Kindle, 640 as you can see here. But because of its limitations, I'm kind of using it as a glorified piece of paper. It's kind of nice to take notes on when I'm in the middle of a Zoom call, but I could be doing that on my iPad or just using pen and paper instead. And when I'm doing research for my book, for example, it's kind of nice to be able to see a whole full screen version of a book that I can flick through. But because I can't actually take notes in the margin or take notes in a way that's easy to access on my computer other than emailing the notes to myself and then screenshotting them, I've been finding that it's just so much easier for me to access the Kindle app on my Mac and then just flick through the textbook and take notes using my keyboard as and when I need to. So as of right now, the best Kindle to buy in 2023 is still the Amazon Kindle Paperwhite. I have the Paperwhite Signature Edition. The Signature Edition allows it to charge wirelessly. Honestly, that's not a game-changing feature, and so the basic Kindle Paperwhite is probably the one I'd recommend for the vast majority of people. Genuinely, I think a Kindle is one of the most life-changing pieces of tech that you can use and every single person I've recommended a Kindle to who has then bought a Kindle, or people I've gifted a Kindle to, have said, oh my God, I'm reading so many more books. And given that books are how we level up our lives and our businesses and whatever, and I'm all about self-help books and business books and all this kind of stuff, it's like reading the right book at the right time has a ridiculous ROI, return on investment, on your life. And so anything that helps to increase your ability to read books, such as the Amazon Kindle, I think is an absolutely game-changing piece of tech. Unfortunately, the Kindle Scribe does not live up to that hype, does not live up to the expectations, and if you're looking for something to read and take notes on, just do it on your computer or get an iPad, and those will be way more full-featured devices than a Kindle Scribe. If you enjoyed this video and you're looking for a more detailed comparison of specifically which Kindle to buy between the Kindle Basic, the Kindle Paperwhite, the Kindle Paperwhite Signature, the Kindle Oasis, then check out this video over here, where I have done an in-depth comparison of those other Kindles that you can choose from. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you hopefully in the next video.